Okay, we always have a hard time getting back to business, but it's always fun. So as I promised earlier, I would like to tell you more about our guest speaker today, Reverend Aliza Bloom Robinson. She is here to share with you her book, Fall into Ease, and what brought her to writing that book. She will do a workshop this afternoon at 1:30. So again, you can stay on the campus and get some food and then join her workshop. It'll be in Wallet Hall. But she says that touching hearts, freeing souls, and transforming lives is what she's up to. And she is a best-selling author, speaker, vibrational catalyst, and ordained unity minister. She inspires and teaches others how to step into a greater ease, discover your deeper dreams, and step into the life you love. She served in church ministry for over 17 years. She's now dedicated to an alternative ministry that she calls Virtual Center for Divine Awakening. And that is dedicated to the transformation of the planet, one soul awakening at a time, which I think is the only way we can do it, right? One at a time. It'd be nice if we could do it all at once. But, she serves as adjunct faculty for the newly created online Unity Worldwide Ministry and the Institute and Seminary. She and her husband, Reverend Rob Robinson, some of you may remember Rob. He started here, I think in the 70s. This was his first church, and he's now a minister up at Unity. And they split their time between Arizona and Arkansas. So she's going to tell you more about the workshop. But let us now give a warm Unity welcome to Reverend Aliza Bloom Robinson.
Oh, it is so great to be here. I want to first just say, oh my goodness, to Julia and the music team. Woo! Wow! I walked in early this morning and I said, well, I like to do Facebook Live. I said, I want to go do a quick live while they're doing music rehearsal. And she made me cry. She's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. I'm like, really? Wow, it was really cool. Anyway, I also wanted to shout out to Howard and Diane. I've been friends with Howard and Diane for a long, long time, and they're away, obviously, today, and which afforded me the opportunity. Howard invited me to come, and I'm like, oh, yeah? He's like, would you like to? And I'm like, oh, let me think about it, yes. So I'm really honored to be here. I've got some friends here. Where's my group from Brazil? Where's my Brazil? Oh, there you are, yay! Well, we got to go to dinner last night. We were all in Brazil in May, and I just saw Kay. We were in Bali last year together, so it's really great to be here with you all. So my basic fundamental question to you, and it is a question for you personally, and I do want an answer, giving you heads up. Would it be all right with you if life got easier? Yes. Yes. I have found that most everybody has that same reaction, right? Yeah, oh yeah. Sometimes using some curse words which you can't use on the microphone, but yeah. Now every now and again, somebody will go, well, no. I'm like, really, why? And you dive deep and people go, some people, not very many, will go, well, because it's in the struggle and the challenge that you grow. And I'm like, and you like that? But most of us would like a little bit more ease. Now, I'm here to tell you that I have such an incredibly blessed life. I am so blessed. I wake up every morning and I go, look at my life. Look at what has transpired for me. I get to live in 2 different places, Arizona and Arkansas. I keep them A's, so I get really confused on how to write my state, right? I have incredible opportunities to serve humanity. A few years back, I was asked the question internally, would you be willing to serve creation? And I was like, yeah. And I feel like I really get to do that now through my virtual center for Divine Awakening, through my opportunities, through the book that I wrote, which is right here. I have to just show you really early on, otherwise I forget about it. So this book is in the bookstore. I'd be happy to sign it. It will not be in the bookstore after the church, but at the workshop. But anyway, get the book because I think you'll really like it. And I have found ease. I have found that place of ease in my being and in my world, but it wasn't always that way. I wasn't like born and everything was like smooth. Right? Well, it was pretty smooth when I was young, I think. But you know, I wanted to just share a little bit of my journey because I think you might relate. So there's so much to tell. I don't want to take a bunch of time. I took too much time telling my journey at the first service. So if you want all of it, you know, get the tape or whatever you can do here, right? Right? But it wasn't always easy for me. When I was young, when I was in my late 20s and early 30s, I went through a time period in my life where life was really, really difficult. I had 2 young children. I was single for really most of their growing up lives. We had times where we would, I worked in opportunities where money was up and down and in and out, and we had periods of time, I'm talking like long, where it's like, don't use too much toilet paper because I don't get paid till next week. Right? No, I can't buy toilet paper this week. We don't have, you know what I mean? Don't raise your hands. Some of you might relate to that. Some of you are like, I don't even know what that means, right? So when I was able to buy, like, stock up on toilet paper again, because I had, you know, money to spend and enough, and I could have like an extra package, not even just an extra roll, but a whole extra package in the cupboard, I'm like, I made it, yes, right? I had an experience in those early days, and we were talking earlier this morning, somebody was talking about traveling across country with 2 young kids, and somebody said, well, why would you do that? And I'm like, yeah, right? Well, I had 2 young kids at the time. They were 4 and 7, and I took them across country. And we were living in Phoenix, and we went to Colorado, stayed a little while. We went to Santa Barbara, stayed a few weeks, and then we took them to Vermont. Do you know how far that is? I think it took us 10 days to drive there with 2 kids in the car. Are you nuts? But, you know, I was following the love of my life. I had fallen in love, and I got this divine download and the synchronicities about how we met and how we came together, and it was like magic, and it was like spirit. It was like, yes! So we did all this whole traveling, right? And we get to Vermont, and we set up house, and we rent a place, and we get jobs. I get jobs. We buy furniture, because we didn't take furniture. We buy everything we need, you know, kitchens. We buy everything, right? And guess what? It falls apart. Everything falls apart. Everything crumbled, and it went to pieces. And out of that moment, I found myself one day, I was just weeping. I'd been weeping inside, going, how can this be? I thought this was divine. I thought this was my guidance. And I prayed. I said, show me how to make it better and make it work, right? You ever done that? Don't raise your hands. I'm just noticing it's like pouring outside. It's caught my attention. It's great. Anyway, so I was on my knees. I mean, I was literally down and out, and I on my knees and I was praying. I'd already been in New Thought. I'd already knew how to do creative visualization. I knew how to do affirmations and denials. I knew how to make what I wanted happen because it was divinely inspired. And then I got a hold of it. And I tried to make it something different than it was. And in that moment on my knees, when I was praying not from my mind anymore, but from my core of my being. And I said, God, show me. If you show me what to do, I will do it. I made a covenant in that moment. And it felt real. Now, what I thought would happen was that it would all come back together and I'd live happily ever after. Anybody else believe in fairy tales? I know, right? And what happened instead in that covenant is I began to listen to a deeper place in my being. I began to listen to what my soul, and I called it God outside of me at that point because I didn't know any better. It felt like it was something bigger than me, addressing me, guiding me around. I've come to know it's God within me and as me, right? But that voice was so clear. And so very quickly that whole relationship crumbled and I took those two little kids back into the car, back across the country, all the way from Vermont to Colorado, where we stayed for a couple months, back to Arizona. My poor daughter, it took her years to forgive me for that journey, for that year-long journey. But she has now, so she's good. She's 32 now and has 4 kids of her own, so now she gets it, right? But it took a long time. But very soon after that, as I made this covenant, I got called into ministry. And I got called to go do what it takes to become a minister. And I do have to admit that I hadn't yet mastered and maybe haven't yet mastered the ability to listen and obey, not that that's a word I like, without arguing. So I hear, right? I hear it, I feel it in my soul. Go to ministry. I'm like, yeah, no. And then I hear, my arguing. Yeah, but. Anybody else do yeah, buts? Yeah, but, right? And it was like, no, you said if I show you what, you will go. And so I went. And so you see a lot of Unity ministers, and you've got a fabulous Unity staff here, and we bless Howard and Diane on their journey, and everybody who's here, and Karen's a longtime friend of mine. She's coming. You'll love her if you don't know her already. She's fabulous. But a lot of ministers will talk about their call to ministry, which for me was a really deeply personal, intense, without a doubt call. Once I finally listened, once I quit arguing, once I dropped my resistance and my reasons and my excuses about why that was not a good idea, God, for me, right? But what I wanted to spend a minute on was not so much my call into ministry, but my call out of ministry. So I was ordained in 2000, and I served church ministries up until 2010, and then again more recently. We just left the Dallas church about 2 years ago, where we were serving as co-minister for a couple of years there. But in 2010, I was having an experience of, everything was great, right? Everything was wonderful. Everybody was happy, and I was in love, and I had great friends, and I had a beautiful ministry, and it was good. And then I woke up one day. You ever had this happen? Where it's like, wait a minute, it was good 20 minutes ago. What happened? It's like wobbly. It's like weird. We call it divine discontent, right? Where it sort of kind of starts to fall apart. There's a lot of wisdom in listening to the whisper, but if you don't listen to the whisper, it'll become a tap. And if you don't listen to the tap, eventually be like cosmic 2x4, right? I don't get too many cosmic 2x4s anymore, but I still get quite a few, right? Taps. So anyway, I was driving around one day and I'm like, what is going on? It's not good anymore. And I want life to be good, right? Say it with me. Good, good, good. I want it to be good. Okay is not good enough for me. I want more. I believe we're here to have life abundant, like our master teacher shows us, that we're here to have our joy complete. And it wasn't complete in that moment. So I prayed, and I heard this profound message, loud, like somebody sitting in my car said, go to Gracie's tonight. I'm like, Gracie's? Okay, I know Grace, but Gracie's. I call her up. I said, Grace, is there something at your house? She goes, yep, 7:30, come on by. Here's the address. I forgot to ask what it was. Right, so I went. I just, sometimes I listen really well, and I went, and I walked in. There's 15, 20 people around, and then this guy walks in. I'm like, whoa, who are you? Like, who is that? And he said, okay, everybody gather around and sit down. Everybody sat down, and he said, okay, we're ready to start. Anybody have any questions? Nope, not me. I still don't know why we're there. I thought it was Tupperware. And he says, close your eyes. And he led us in meditation. And we spent maybe an hour and a half or so. But for me, it was almost instantaneous. And it was like he started praying. And something came out of the ethers and entered in directly into my heart and blew my circuits, blew my heart wide open, like turned it inside out. Desjardins talks about the peduncle, right? Boom! That's what happened. It was like lasered into me and blew my mind and blew everything I knew to be true apart. And I entered into this place that was so profound. And I realized over time that this place that I'd entered into was the exact place I had already been preaching about for 10 years and didn't even know was possible, even though I'd been talking about it. It took me to such a place. And I knew it was for this that I was born. And the question appeared, are you willing to serve creation? And I said, without a doubt, yes. And then that followed very quickly with, then you will be asked to surrender everything. I'm like, I'm cool with that. Be careful, people. And so in a very short amount of time, everything completely fell apart. I'm thinking, right, oh yeah, I found bliss, now it's going to be perfect, right? It's magic. No. Everything that isn't working gets released, right? So in that, are you willing to serve creation? In that willingness to surrender everything very quickly within a matter of months, I got called off the stage. It was like, in theater, and they bring that big fish hook out, and they hook you, and they're like yanking you off the stage. It was like that. And I was called to leave my ministry. I was called to leave the Unity movement. My relationship crumbled and completely fell apart. I was called to leave, to go on the road. And so I packed up in my car. I made a deal with Spirit. I'll just let you know those don't work either. When you're willing to follow Spirit, you can't have it your way and follow Spirit until you align your way with Spirit. I said, okay, I'll do 3 months. I can do 3 months on the road. I got a little money in the bank. I can do 3 months, right? That 3 months in my car on the road was spiritual initiation. I'd come into a body of work. That work that night in May was this body of work. And I delved in, and I went for it. And that 3 months of sabbatical turned into 15 months on the road in my car. And I surrendered everything materially. And then the work began. And I had to surrender through the emotional body. I had to breathe into, I had to feel, and I had to surrender and process through the emotions of humanity, which includes fear, rage, anger, guilt, shame, blame, all of it, all of the emotions. I had to breathe into and process through and surrender at a cellular level unworthiness, not enoughness, I'm not good enoughness, all that stuff. And I'm like, it was the hardest work I've ever done. But what came out of it was brilliance. But the emotional work wasn't the end of it. It was as if then the work began. And I had to surrender my belief system. Now, I'd been a Unity minister for 10, 11 years already. I'd been in the Unity movement for 15, 20 years before that. I had to let it all go. Now, when I say let it all go, it wasn't like, oh, I have a belief, I think I'll let it go. It wasn't exactly like that. It was more like, you know, the cat claw. Ah, peeling one finger at a time, right? It was more like that. But when I came through that, what I found, what I leaned into, what happened in me, through me, as me, not from my brain. My brain was gone. My mind, my logical thinking mind was gone during that time period. It was not even accessible to me. All I could do was, oh, drive here today, okay. Oh, go here today, okay. I mean, it was truly incredible. But what came out of that was a knowing in the core of my being and the cells of my body. If we could have that slide, please, the first slide. It was like knowing myself. It was like knowing God. It was coming into oneness. I know you hear a lot about oneness in this ministry. And the 1 + 1 is 1, right? The work of Howard. And I came in, actually, 2 back. I don't know why we keep going to this one first, but yeah, that one, thank you. I found my heart, my soul. And I've been doing heart work for years, right? So it was new. It was not new, and it was totally new. And I landed in this place with the very center of the universe, at such peace and such ease and such experience. I discovered the place. I ended up later calling it falling into ease, but in the moment, it was divinity. It was the kingdom of heaven. It was, if you're into the quantum mechanics and quantum physics, it was the quantum field. And if you're into that body of work at all, you know that there is no thought in that work. There is no thought. There is only being. There is no particle. There is only the wave. And in that place, a whole new body of work came for me, which is the work that I bring to the world now. And it is about awakening. And out of that work, now there's very, very simple, accessible, easy ways to gently release and dissolve and dismantle those lifelong limiting patterns so that you too can fall into ease. And I use the word falling into ease because it's like this. Fall into ease. Can you feel that? Can you fall there with me? Can you just like fall into ease? And when you land there, you discover it is that point of connection that you've always yearned for. It is like coming home to yourself, coming home to spirit. It is being in alignment. It is oneness. And it's brilliant. And then when you begin to live from this place, it's a very different experience on this planet. Now, that's not to say that life doesn't still happen, right? Because life still happens. And sometimes when life happens, all you can do to survive is dance. If we could have the next slide, please. This is an image from Paul Bond, and he's an artist, obviously. I just want to read what he says about it. He says, it's inspired by a movie called The Water Dance. The main character has a recurrent dream that he is on the surface of a lake and can only keep from sinking under by dancing. Now feel this in your own life, right? He says, I found this a fascinating metaphor for life. For me, in order to keep from slipping into any degree of sadness or hopelessness, remaining lighthearted, spontaneous, and a disciple to my joyful self-expression, the dance of our lives is key. And so it's not that life doesn't keep happening, but there is a way to dance through it, to stay on the surface and not get sucked underneath. Now, in the workshop this afternoon, we're going to give you 3 really practical techniques. It's going to be very experiential. But I wanted to give you one because I don't know that everybody, I mean, there might be a couple of you who can't come to the workshop. I don't know. I'm hoping that you'll all come, but it'll be a little crowded in that room. But I wanted to give you something very practical. And I know, but anyway, I want to give you something very practical. And that practical is just the idea of pivot. Just pivot. So when life happens, and it will happen, this is a tool that you can use. So it's also experiential, so I need your support. Can I have your support? Yes. Okay. So let's say life happens. My friend Joe called me the other day. I've known Joe for many, many years, and he actually messaged me. He said, pray for my family. My daughter, my 24-year-old daughter died last night. And I was like, oh. And then, of course, I got a little bit of the story, and she had struggled, and then she was doing fabulous, and then, anyway, she died. And so I want to just tell you that even in grief, even in pain, even in sorrow, there's a way to find ease, and sometimes that ease is simply the ability to take the next breath. Right? The ability to pick up the phone and make the next call. The ability to lie down at night and get a little bit of sleep. And the ability to stand in the moment. So falling into ease, coming into that place is not about changing anything on the outer, but it is about landing in the present moment with whatever is going on, with acceptance, with allowance, even as you're railing against God and spirit and creation. And this cannot be. This cannot be. And yet it is, right? So I have to move on this. So just pretend that there's something going on in your life that's like a little stressful. Just pretend, right? And so it gets symbolized by this. Ah! I need your help. Ready? It gets symbolized like what? La, la! Show of hands. Is that real for anybody? Okay, a couple of you. Okay. So, ah! All together. Ah! Here's the pivot. Stop. This is the title of the workshop, by the way. Little, what do they call it? Hook. Stop. Notice what you're feeling. Don't try to change it. Just notice it. Notice, I am stressed. I am worried. I am scared. I am whatever, frustrated, overwhelmed, underwhelmed, depressed, whatever it is. I am. Notice it. That's the stop. Notice. Drop into your being. If you can't get into your heart, which is nearly impossible to do from your mind when it's stressed out, go to your feet. Feel your feet. Okay, that was a hint. Feel your feet, like right now. Like feel your feet, right? That's the drop. Drop into your being. And then roll. Or pivot. Charles Fillmore, Eric Butterworth, Emily, Katie all talked about the pivot. And then pivot to something totally different. Oh, look. It's not raining anymore. Oh, look at the rain. Oh, look at the tree. Oh, look at the sun. Oh, look at the stars. Oh, look, the flowers. They're beautiful. Look at these flowers. They're to fold. Do you see what happens? It's like bypassing your mind. So let's try it together. You ready? Okay, you're stressed. Stop. Drop. Feel your feet. Come to your feet. Pivot. Roll. Oh, look. Oh, look. Oh, look. Oh, listen, I hear the birds. Oh, look, there's a waterfall out there, or a water fountain. Oh, look. And what we do when we stop, drop, and roll is we change our frequency, we change our attention, we change our focus, we change our vibration to something different. And then in this place, right, of oneness, of our divinity, of our possibility, then we can look back and see it differently. And then we can look back and we're able to take a breath. We're able to see the pathway through. We're able to take the next step. We're able to be inspired. And so this is a very simple, easy tool you can do today and this day and every day from this moment forward that will help you to fall into ease. Now, I stand for the awakening of the planet. I stand for a life that is filled with ease and juicy yumminess and like love and joy and all of that. I stand for awakening. Will you stand with me? Yes. How about the rest of you? Yes. I mean, I appreciate the 6. I really do. But how about, will you stand with me for ease? Yes. I stand for ease. I stand for oneness. And I stand for your awakening so that you too can fall into ease. God bless you. Thank you.